Today's video is going to be about real life issues, although it does relate to the channel. I'll be putting some gameplay over top of my speaking, but this is more of a video that's better to listen to than to watch, if you're interested in this sort of thing, of course. I'm a very private person, and I don't often open up or talk about myself, especially not to strangers or to people that I don't know very well. The internet is a big and sometimes scary place, and so I'm pretty selective about what I do and don't share on here. And so this is my first real life type of video that I've ever put out. I wanted to do this now though because I've recently been working on improving myself, and I've been taking some community workshops on beliefs and how they affect your life. And I've learned that although keeping your personal life private is perfectly acceptable, holding too much back or not letting others in can also be a really damaging thing. I've also discovered why I've been having such difficulties with Let's Playing over the last little while. So for those of you who really want to know me better as a person and not just as a Let's Player, I figured this video would be a good way to express myself and convey some emotion to others. And also, I have a fantastic fan base of people who are incredibly supportive, and so I also wanted to maybe provide some answers to questions you may have, because without your support, I wouldn't be here where I am today. So a little bit of history for you guys. I started posting videos 5 years ago, and as you can imagine, things really change over a period of time that long. Back in 2010, I was 18 years old. I'm 22 going on 23 here in 2015. And back then, I had just graduated from high school and college. And when I started doing these Let's Play, it was more of experimentation. I didn't really know much about it or what to expect from it. I was more or less interested in the technology about how it is that you record the footage. So using programs like Fraps, Hypercam, Windows Movie Maker, doing voice work, etc. Those types of things. Let's Playing back then wasn't as competitive or as big as it is now, so when I started to post videos, my channel started to kind of grow out of nowhere, seemingly. So within my first year, I had 500 subscribers, and at the beginning of 2012, I also became a partner. I steadily worked on improving my work by buying better equipment, like my HD capture card, high quality microphone, and using more and better sophisticated editing software for the editing and rendering part of the videos. So my first few years here on YouTube, I would say that my focus was mostly getting a good solid fan base up and running. I didn't necessarily believe in quantity over quality, and it's not to say that I didn't work as hard then as I do now, but I think that back then I had more time to do this Let's Playing thing. I had a lot more time to record and edit, and I wasn't really concerned about the little things. I had a bit of a touch of perfectionism back then. One big example being when I redid my Wind Waker playthrough. It was initially released in 2010, and I replayed the entire thing and re-released it back in 2011 because I wasn't satisfied with it. So that's just an example of, you know, how this problem is coming into the current age. And it's not really fair for me to say that I had a lot more fun back then than I do now, but something has changed, although, you know, I don't know what it is. In the last 2 years, I've become increasingly more concerned about my content, and I've just been very dissatisfied with myself. Whether this is because of the fierce competition and how rapidly YouTube has changed, or because I have more people to please, more subscribers, I really don't know what the issue is. I've always been a perfectionist to a certain degree, but it really shines through in some things more than others. For example, I don't care much for my appearance. I wear sweatpants outside the house. I don't wear makeup. You know, I don't really care much about that, but when it comes to something like my videos, my recording, my Let's Playing, it's a completely different story. So as I mentioned earlier, things really change over the course of time. I've talked a bit about my history already, and if you've been a subscriber of mine for a long time, you'll know that my style hasn't really changed much over the years. nor has my game variety, the types of genres I play, that kind of thing. I have a very small comfort zone that's difficult to step out of. I've learned now that being a perfectionist and having a small comfort zone that you are unable to step out of holds you back in more ways than you can imagine. But somehow, even knowing this and having this knowledge, it's something that I can't help. I can't just simply play that shooter that I'm terrible at just for fun. What if I'm bad at it? I can't forget to edit out my heavy breathing or a sneeze or a cough because that's just simply unprofessional. I missed a word in that sentence or I stumbled over my words, so now I have to scrap the entire recording and start over again. My audio levels are a little off. I hope that the game audio isn't too loud or too quiet. Oh god, what if people can't hear me well enough? I tried to make a joke, but now it just sounds lame. That was such a stupid thing for me to do. It's been a long time since I played this game. I really hope that I get my facts right. I don't want to steer people wrong.
We're on an express elevator.
Everything that I just said are all legitimate problems that I've been having and have had in the past. Thoughts that constantly go through my head. I know that there are certain things that only I would notice when I'm editing a video, for example, and if I didn't fix it, nobody would notice or care, but it still drives me crazy. I've looked back at older Let's Plays and have lamented over all the things that I could have done differently, things I would have done better, how I so badly want to delete those videos and try again later. I want to go back and re-record them, re-edit them, and re-upload them. I worry that people will stumble onto my channel, watch an older project from a couple of years ago that I'm not particularly proud of, and decide not to stay or subscribe based on that. Now, I know that this is a very self-defeating attitude to have, and when you're a perfectionist, it's hard to perfect anything because nothing will ever be perfect in your mind. It's like going around in an endless circle. It's impossible to please everybody, but the most difficult person to please is yourself, and that, to me, is the most difficult thing to deal with, because if you don't feel like you're doing a good job, it's difficult to continue on doing what you're doing. I do try some positive reinforcement, I do try and pat myself on the back when I look at my analytics and I see my view count go up or my subscriber count go up, or when I have a video that's climbing in views, those kinds of things. And I'm very grateful and thankful that people like my content, follow me, leave comments, talk to me on social media and things like that. But I still have this feeling that I'm not holding up my end of the bargain, that people are depending on me and I'm not living up to the expectations that I've set for myself or that others would expect of me. A big example is when I look at something like Harvest Moon. Obviously, it fills me with a lot of joy when I look at the reviews that I've gotten, and how many people watch it and look forward to it, but it also fills me with dread. My channel has somewhat accidentally been sort of spotlighted for the Harvest Moon content that I produce. That's where a major chunk of my subscribers come from. It's where a lot of people know me from, those kinds of things. And I constantly get requests for more games, more videos, streams, those kinds of things. I've also put in countless hours of editing at the Harvest Moon Wikia, and I talk to people and answer questions about discussions when they want to have a Harvest Moon discussion, and I'm fine doing all of those things, and I do try my best to keep everybody happy, but I still feel as if I'm letting everybody down because there's just a part of me that can't simply pick the game up and play it. I cannot pick it up and just loosey-goosey provide simple commentary over it. I have a method. I have to do research. I have to have a game plan ahead of time. I have to make sure I have my facts correct. And I have to try and do everything in the game, or as much of everything as I can, before I feel as if it's completed. And the reason for this partly is because I feel like that is what people have come to expect. And if I don't do that, then what's the point? in my head, I know that there are people out there who watch these videos just for fun. You know, they watch them because they just genuinely enjoy my commentary. They just really like the game, or it can even come down to something as simple as wanting to see who I'm going to choose to marry in the game. But in my heart, that is just something that I cannot accept. I know that if I were to do that and leave my comfort zone, I would look back on the project with a heavy heart, and I would beat myself up over how it just wasn't me. It just wasn't my style, you know, those kinds of things. So I am trying to work on this, but when you've been a certain way for a long period of time, change is very slow. And I do constantly gather feedback, answer questions, and try to keep everybody updated as much as I can on what's going on so that I have a better idea of what to do better, what I can possibly change, and what people like to see from me. And even if I don't embrace the idea right away, it'll always be there, lingering. If someone gives me a suggestion that's sort of way out of the blue, I always sort of think about it, you know, because it's good to sort of think about it and look at the picture as a whole. So I just wanted to let everybody know that I am trying, and I'm only a human being, and just like everybody else, I have my strengths and my weaknesses. I know that playing games shouldn't be difficult or a burden or a chore. It should be fun, you know, compared to some people's hobbies and jobs. You know, Let's Playing is not exactly rocket science or anything like that. And I try to remind myself that as long as I'm having fun, that will shine through into the playthroughs, and people will be able to overlook any flaws that I may have, as long as I'm genuinely enjoying what I'm doing, and I do. And if I learn to embrace this ideology a bit more, perhaps my channel will change for the better, and I'll be able to provide everybody with content that I'm happy with in the short and long term. You know, I'll be happy when I post it, when I'm recording it, when I'm editing it, and I'll be happy and look back on it 3 years down the road, and I'll, you know, be able to pat myself on the back and say, I did really well there. So I hope that this video has given you guys a little bit of insight into maybe why I don't post my Harvest Moon videos as much as everybody would like, why I tend to stay away from certain games or game genres, and why my formula doesn't change much. Just wanted to really thank everybody for listening to this video, and for, you know, always listening to me, for your constant support over the past couple of years. You know, even if I'm not all I want to be, my channel's not all I want to be, you know, all of the time. My time here on YouTube is always enhanced by the people who are supportive of me during my ups and downs. And I said it before, but I'll say it again, I would not be where I am today without any of you. So thank you all, and feel free to leave a comment or share a story, or, you know, give me some insight into what you think. I'd really appreciate it, and hopefully I'll see you guys in a regular video again sometime soon.